What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Hustle with Jesse W. And today we're going to go over part 2 of 4 things school doesn't teach you. Check it out. Alright guys, so we're going to go over 4 things school does not teach you. And at the end of the video, we're going to have bonus number 5 of what school doesn't teach you, doesn't prepare you for. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into that. But before we do, give me 1 quick second of your time. And all you gotta do
is smash that like button,
subscribe to the channel. That way you're always up to date on all the videos I drop on a weekly basis. All right, so without any further delay, let's jump into this. School doesn't teach you how to manage time. That's right, school does not teach you at all how to manage your time effectively. Sure, they have their schedule, but it doesn't really teach you how to manage time. You see, when you're in school, you have things you just gotta like memorize, right? So you have a certain amount of time to memorize, but there's no way of like managing your time effectively because it's all just one broad thing, right? You're gonna go to this class from 9:30 a.m. till 10:30 a.m. The next class from 10:45 a.m. till 11:45 a.m. etc. Then you go to lunch, whatnot. But it's not teaching you really how to like actually use your time wisely. Why do I say wisely? Well, if you're good at one thing and bad at another, why would you waste time on something you're not really good at when you can excel at something else? Right? So like if in the morning you're not very effective, you're not a good worker in the morning, why would you waste your time trying to work in the morning when you know you're better off working in the afternoon? Obviously, school has one set schedule and it is what it is. However, there is no one there to show you and teach you and guide you on how to actually manage your time, a little bit more effectively. When business is slow, what should you focus on? When work is slow, what you should focus on? When work is hot, what you should actually focus on, etc. These are things one has to be self-aware and teach themselves as time progresses and you grow as, a person, as a business person, as a professional, in whatever chosen field you've taken, or just in general life. This is something school doesn't prepare us for. So it's how to manage time. Don't prepare us for that, but we have to figure out what type of time frames, type of time blocks works for us, where we're most effective, and dive into that. Number 2, doesn't teach us how to invest our money in the least bit. All it does is it basically just shows us how to get a job, 9 to 5, and pay bills. If that, they don't even talk about that anymore at all.
So what do we do with our time? What do we do with our money? Some stuff we have to learn and do by ourselves. Pretty much, that's just the name of the game. We have to figure it out and go on about it ourselves. See, school doesn't teach you to set aside a budget. School doesn't teach you to put a few dollars aside and invest them every month over the course of 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You realize by just putting a minimal amount of money in your early 20s, 30 years later when you're in your 50s, you could be sitting on anywhere from $500,000 to over $1 million just because you've put a small amount of money. And when I'm talking about small, I'm talking about small, all right? Couple $100, maybe maxed out $500 a month over the course of every single month from your early 20s to your 50s, taking 7% return on your investment in something as simple as an IRA account for retirement. School doesn't teach you about that. They don't teach you at all to think about the future that far ahead. And let me tell you something, though, while you might think, oh wow, by the time I'm 50, that's a long ways away. It's not that long. It's not that long. I'm only 35 and I can clearly see 50. I can clearly see it. You just have to want to see it. You just have to want to prepare for it. Now, school doesn't prepare us for that at all.
Number 3, school does not prepare us to start a business. It doesn't. School basically just prepares us to memorize facts, or what they call facts in certain cases, and then, pass quizzes regarding those facts, go to college, get a degree, which you might want to check out my college degree video. Maybe I'll drop it in the description section below, the link there. You might want to check that one out. Then go get a 9 to 5 job, building somebody else's dreams. Now, yes, I understand that not everyone is made to start their own business. I get it. I understand that. But school doesn't prepare you to start your own business at all. Like, at all. It doesn't even give you the option. How are you going to know, like, how are the students in the classroom going to know whether or not that's their avenue early on in life if there is nothing in school that gives them even a little taste of it? Outside of entrepreneurship type clubs that are after school curriculum stuff, like not even curriculum, after school activities. They should have something embedded in the system where if you're in a public school, there should be a class dedicated to trying to find what each individual student is going to excel at. You never know who's going to be the next IBM, the next Mark Zuckerberg sitting in that class, who's bored out of his mind getting C's and D's in the back of the classroom because he doesn't really give a crap what a frog looks like on the inside. I mean, school doesn't prepare us for this at all because they treat everybody as like a blank slate that they can mold into a standardized drone. Okay? So those are the 3 things so far. Number 4, okay? Thing number 4 the school doesn't teach us is how to be emotionally aware. Now, in the previous video, we talked about how it doesn't teach us how to face failures. This is different. School doesn't teach us how to be emotionally aware, and I'll tell you why. You see, at least nowadays in school, the way they do their thing is very, very simple. It's everyone gets a pat on the back. Everyone gets a pat on the back. So you don't really know whether or not you're prepared to take on bigger projects, be told that you've actually failed and did a bad job, or anything around that realm down, years later in the future, because school doesn't prepare you for that, because school just basically gives everyone a participation trophy, medal, plaque, tells them, oh, good job, and doesn't tell them, try harder next time. So you have tonnage of people out in the workforce, tonnage of people out in college who thinks everything should be handed to them, and who, by any chance, meet somebody like me that tells them, hey, you didn't do a good job on that? My God, the world ends. Because they're not emotionally aware enough to know. Nobody told you you're a bad human. They just told you you did a bad job at that. And they're trying to guide you on how to do a better job. So you got to be emotionally aware and emotionally mature enough to know that just because somebody tells you you didn't do a good job on this project, on that thing you were chasing, just because you didn't do a good job today, it doesn't mean that they don't value you or see value in you. It just means they noticed that you did a bad job at something and you can do better. You just have to try. You have to be emotionally aware enough of who you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and work accordingly without being offended. All right? That's number 4. And I told you I had a bonus number 5. I did, right? I had a bonus number 5. And I think it's a real important one. I think it really is an important one. It's not as important, though, as one thing I need you to do. All right, I need you to do it real quick now because you might have not done it at the start of the video. Smash that like button for me. It really helps me out a long way, let me tell you. And you'll get this bonus number 5, which is school doesn't teach us how to take calculated risks. It doesn't. School teaches us how to be safe. And while there's nothing wrong with a certain amount of safety, there's definitely a lot wrong where you spend your entire life living in what ifs because you never took a calculated risk. Now, I'm not telling you to jump out an airplane without checking your parachute first. It's calculated risk, not just taking a risk. You see, when I enter a stock trade, I enter the trade and I know where my risk is and where my rewards are. So it's a calculated risk. Obviously, you can't be 100% on, correct while you trade. However, you can take your calculated risks.
School not teaching us how to properly take calculated risks, then we have a problem because now you have a bunch of people out there who are risk takers, like me, who at one point or another didn't know how to take calculated risks because they were never taught how to calculate their risk. So you want to make sure that you learn how to calculate risk. And I can't give you a formula for that because everybody's risk tolerance is completely different. While you might have somebody that can risk it all on every roll of the dice, you might have people like me who will say, you know what, I cannot risk it all on every roll of the dice. And as I progress through life, my risk tolerance might decrease in certain aspects and might increase in others. I might take a roll of the dice today and decide to risk 25% of my net, my net wealth, my net value. And tomorrow I might take a risk on something else which actually has a smaller risk but allows me to take a 50% risk. How does that make sense? Well, it depends on the size of the project. You see, I might risk $10,000 today, right, in order to make $25,000, and tomorrow I might risk $20,000 in order to make $100,000. So it all depends on your parameter and your risk tolerance. But school doesn't teach us how to prepare ourselves for calculated risk, much less how to take calculated risks. And you got to find out what your calculated risk pattern is and act accordingly to that. Some people, they're very they're very conservative with their risk. So what makes sense for them is basically, as far as investments go, just investing into their IRA, maxing that out every year, $6,000 for the most part, every year into their IRA. That's as risky as they want to be. And they want to work at a regular job and get that regular, steady weekly paycheck. And that's perfectly fine because we're not all coded the same. We're all coded completely different when it comes to, how we work, what type of risks we like to take. See, I don't mind not getting a paycheck next week if it means that I have the chance at getting a much bigger paycheck next month. Why? Because that's how I'm coded. That's how I'm made. I don't need the steady $400, $500 a week of a standard paycheck when I can maybe cut paychecks of $2,000 every 2 weeks, for example. I'd rather have that, But I know it can fluctuate. Maybe one pay period, it's not 2,000, it's 1,500. Another one's 1,000. The next one is 4,000. That's the name of the game in entrepreneurship, and I love it. I don't mind it because you have to know how to manage your money. Maybe that's the next video. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did,
smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for the next videos by hitting the notification bell. That way you're alerted every single time I drop a new video, and I'll catch you
on the next one.